Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. My name is Rockin Larry Locken with Pleiadian Express Productions, and welcome to Pleiadian Talk. Today we have on the show Ciara Morris. We're going to profile. She is an administrator for the group The Pleiadians on Facebook, as well as the Fringe Thinkers. And we're just going to talk to her a little bit about her experiences, her ascension symptoms, some of the passions in her life that keep her occupied. And welcome, Ciara. How are you?
I'm good.
Are you good? Okay. You sound a little nervous, are you?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. How are you doing?
No, it's okay. I know. Yeah, yes, I've been nervous a few times in my life before too. So basically what I wanted to talk to you about was, I met you several months back here on Facebook in the group, I don't know, one of the groups on there, and we started talking, and I knew at the time you were only like 19 and you just turned 20, but the thing is these ascension symptoms have really been hitting you, I know, like crazy. We've talked about it before, the ringing in the ears and the up late nights. Why don't you talk about briefly a little bit what the what really the last few months those nights have been like for you?
It's been kind of crazy because the ringing has gotten louder at times, but past 2 nights, since I've had a lot of activity going on with the two groups, the ringing has gotten even louder, even in a dark room. It's kind of hard to focus.
Yeah, I bet it is. And it's almost like they're trying to send you a message. They're trying to make you step up your game a little bit, I think. And I know it makes it really hard sometimes to concentrate, but knowing that it's for a good reason. Another thing that we were talking about is how do I put this? The telepathy's really hitting you hard. I know I had mentioned to you some time back, and this is going to probably sound crazy to a lot of people, but I had mentioned to you that a few people on here that I talk to, probably a couple handful, when I'm talking to them through chat on Facebook, it's like I feel like I'm hearing their voice too, and I'm like almost seeing their thumbnails animated. And then you mentioned to me just last night or the other night, you mentioned to me, it's like, okay, I'm starting to like hear people's voices that I'm actually chatting with, and I'm like, well, yeah, remember I mentioned that to you? And you're like, yeah, it's starting to happen to me. And it's like, it's really strange, but it's cool at the same time. And I know that part of it's cool, but what if some of those, in the last couple of months, what have some of those late nights been like for you when, you've been hearing the ringing in your ears and you can't sleep much? And I mean, is it, how have you coped with that? Just trying to keep yourself busy or what?
I listen to a hard rock group that puts me to sleep more so than anything. The group I love to listen to while I have the ringing in my ears at night and trying to sleep is Like a Storm, and they
That
put me to sleep like no other.
Wow. So okay, see, it just goes to show you different things work for different star seeds and Pleiadian and Carnes. I mean, that was so, yeah, because I know I didn't realize that, but I know we've talked before, and some of the mellower stuff kind of has bugged your energies a little bit, huh? Like some of the other meditations, like I know I've sent you, you liked them, but you're like, it just, you couldn't, it messed with you more so than that, huh? Like
Yeah,
listening to rain or listening. Okay.
I can't listen to like any kind of meditation videos or concentration videos anymore because when I would listen to them, I guess my ears are so used to them now that I can't concentrate on either reading a book or drawing or something like that. It's really crazy.
So it doesn't quite, yeah, I'm trying to understand that. It doesn't quite, yeah, it just doesn't quite vibe with you too much. And you're so used to hearing that that it does. You're so used to hearing it actually that it's not a bad thing, but it just doesn't do anything for you. It just kind of throws your focus off. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah, so you need, well, I mean, that would stand to reason. You're just barely 20 now, and these ascension symptoms that you've been telling me about, we've all went through, but you're getting a big triple dose of them like right at once. So I imagine that it takes something a little more intense, like some good hard rock to just keep you focused. And like, what would you say, would those nights, if you didn't have that access to that music to listen to, would those nights have been really hell to deal with, some of them?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, does it get better? Like, okay, like, because I know with me, like during those initial days, does it get better if, okay, once daylight starts hitting, it starts to ease up a bit? Am I wrong or no?
It's it's a dead tone during the day, but when it's nighttime, it raises the vibration or frequency.
Yeah, tons, I bet. So, like, if it's late at night, say, and you're having a hard time, right? Okay, and maybe you had your music, maybe you didn't, but it starts to kind of finally ease up a bit when day breaks, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that goes along with a little bit of our fear at first too. I know that, for 6 months I stayed up all night just pacing and wondering and and I knew that it was a good thing, but at the same time it was so intense, the emotions and the vibrations I was getting, that I just wasn't going to take a chance. And then finally, okay, I mean, finally, when daybreak would start, finally I could get a little bit of rest or start thinking about it. And I think that that's the same thing for you, huh? And unfortunately, I know that's when everything's going on in the day, 3D life, people getting on your case and stuff like that. But, once the daylight hours hit, it was easier for me to kind of rest and chill and get refocused again. Now I'm to the point now where it's like I embrace anything that comes my way. And it took me a couple of years to finally get to that point. And I think that with you, it's going to be quicker. But yeah, I know it seems like the more you take on, the stronger these vibrations get, huh?
Yeah.
That's
I'm
good.
drinking
Well, I
water.
mean, it's a good thing for sure. What was that?
I was drinking water if you heard my bottle.
Oh, no, I didn't, but it's a good thing to do. I usually keep a ton of it by me during an interview or while I'm talking, because either that or I'll trip over my tongue. It'll I'll trip over, stumble, fumble, and fall. I'll stumble, fumble, and fall just trying to step one foot over the other, but that's a whole nother story. So, so yeah, so you're nervous right now.
I'm easing up now.
Good, good, good. That's good to hear. I'm sure everybody out there will be glad to hear it that's listening live right now. So just kidding, maybe. Anyway, so basically, okay, so the vibrations are loud. They pick up. Now, I know when it gets nightfall and everything, right? Okay, you start getting the vibrations, but would you say that they start picking up really bad or like really heavy as the night wears on? Like, say, I don't know, it's 3 hours difference. So you're in West Virginia. I'm out here in Oregon. I know that it starts really, well, it's nothing to me now, but at about 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, about the time, actually, not that I watch TV, but out on the networks, about the time the late shows are coming on, does it start picking up for you around 11? Or what, could you pin it down to a time when it really starts getting intense?
When it gets intense, I would say around 12 midnight, and then when it hits like 6 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, it deadens down.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet you, do you find that between, say, like okay, say like between 2 a.m., 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, would you say that those are peak hours? Would you say that those are the most intense or no?
Yeah, because I've had an experience before I moved back here in Martinsburg, West Virginia. I was living in Jarrettstown with my mom's friends, and one night it literally peaked between I would say 2 and 4 o'clock a.m.-ish. I was
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. I couldn't imagine at 20 years old going through that and the intensity you're getting hit with it. Yeah, exactly. And I know what you mean about those 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, about 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock's kind of like that time, right, where you know you're out. You know, on a bad night, you know you're out of the woods. You know you're getting towards out of the woods, but at the same time, those vibrations can still keep up till about 8 a.m. Is that kind of would you agree with that?
Yeah.
A little bit, you know, by about 6, okay, you know, I've almost made it through the night, hey, you know, but yet you can still, they're still there. You can ignore them a little bit more, but they're still there till about 8 a.m. or so, you know, and then they kind of dissipate. I kind of liken it to people that I try to explain to that still are stuck in the illusion and watch TV all night that, okay, it starts picking up about the time Letterman, Leno, whoever the hell is doing the show now, Johnny Carson, Fallon, whoever. I heard Colbert's taking Letterman's spot, but I don't know. Don't really care. But it starts picking up about that 11:35 mark at night. You're right, around midnight, and then you know the middle of the night after the late shows are over, infomercials are on. It starts peaking out, and then you know by the time the morning shows roll on, it's still going a little bit, and then you know by the time any local news hits in the morning, it's kind of dissipated. But you know that kind of describes how I feel too, and I know that being alone there, it's like you have nobody. You probably have nobody that you can tell this to physically, huh? Like anybody that you live around or with, you can't really just tell them what's going on.
I tell my mom and my grandmother about it, but they just say it'll be okay, no, don't worry, or something like
Yeah, well, they're just trying. They probably can't really understand it though. You know, I mean, but that's good that at least, you know, at least they're not telling you that you're nuts or that you're get over it or you know what I mean? At least that they're not doing that. But I can understand that they don't understand because how can you know what you don't know or you've never felt? And it's so mind blowing that you know even if you've never went through it, right, but you believe, even if you're at that second phase where you believe it's possible, you're like, wow, you still question it. It's kind of in our nature to do so. um you know, I know that one of the things that you talk to me about that you like doing and that your big passion in life actually is the violin, which is good because all kinds of star seeds have all kinds of different talents. And why don't you talk a little bit about when your violin passion started and, you know, just the things that you've been through with the violin and how that's affected your life?
that. Before I talk about that, I want to give a shout out to Christina, one of my friends on Facebook.
Hi, Christina.
She's a really good friend of mine. We met literally 2 months ago, 3 months ago, my bad, in a group called Spiritual Beings.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar with the group. I'm in it as well. But yeah, and you know, we talked with Christina last night, and you know, great conversation, and what a great starseed soul. And I'd like to say, hey, Christina, how are you? Much love, Christina Womack. Hmm. So anyway, the violin. What age did you? What age do you consciously remember first playing one or touching one,
It
even or knowing of one?
um, it was 10 years ago that I started playing. So it was 10 years ago, so 2004. I was in the fourth grade when I started playing, all because 1 year before, I my mom introduced me to a movie called Music of the Heart, and I fell in love with that movie for a year. Um, Like a year later, when I was in the 4th grade, I saw my friend Kate um in in a lesson, um in a violin lesson. Sorry. Uh, and we were just touring the school to get a feel of the school that we were in. That's when 2 weeks later I told my mom I want to start playing the violin. I think since it was 10 years ago, I was around, um,
10?
yeah, 10ish.
Yeah, being 20, that's pretty easy to deduct. 10 years ago, you'd have been around 10, which, my God, I feel old. You were only in the 4th grade 10 years ago? Oh, good Lord.
Hmm.
So, so you go from that point to, okay, you told your mom you wanted to play the violin. So I would assume that what, lessons took place coming up after that, or what? How did that go down?
Yeah, lessons, um, every Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. For first years, we had, 2 classes, Wednesdays and Fridays in the library of the school. And then Mondays would be orchestra in another class. Um, oh, and throughout the years, each class I went to, I became a second year. So it got even harder.
That's generally
But
how it goes, yeah. I was kidding. It does get harder. So, but you must have took to it right away to be able to progress or even entertain the idea of going to those next levels. Am I correct? So it was something that you had a passion for right away, that even when you started playing, you were ready to go. And what are some of the as far as like how harder it's gotten, it just does the music that you have to play just get quicker, or how does that work? Does it get, I mean, I'm trying to understand the complexity of it, being
um,
somebody who's never played a violin or an instrument worth it.
I have
Um, so
I have like two or three different college music pieces. One is called um, Academic Festival Overture by Johannes Brahms. Um, and if you can go on, for anybody who's listening to this out there,
which is
if
everybody,
you can
which
go
is
to
everybody in the world scrutinizing you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
if you go to YouTube, look it up, and you'll see how fast it gets sometimes. It's an amazing piece.
And what was
Um,
the name of it again?
Academic Festival Overture by Johannes Brahms.
Oh, okay. Okay, I bet one of our other fellow admins and Pleiadians, Jane Hermstead, would love that. Hmm. We won't torture Jason Wilson with it, but no, I'm just kidding. Much love, Jason. How are you? Anyway, um, so okay, so it gets fat. I've noticed that on some of the pieces that you've posted and that have been posted. I think Jane has posted some, and it just seems like the really intense good stuff is so quick and so modern. And let me ask you this: are you familiar at all with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite, my all-time
Would you
favorite.
kill me? Would you kill me if the biggest bitch in my life one time about 3 years ago? Listen, with my ex-wife, I had to sit through 4 hours of them, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it was in Portland at the Rose Garden, and oh, I was cramped up in a chair, and we had pretty good seats. We were like right up now. I could almost touch the guys as they were coming by, and it's like, okay, I was sitting there bitching and pissing and moaning. I hadn't awakened yet. I was pissing and moaning about having to be there. I know. I bet you could slap me for doing so. But yeah, so you know them. You know of them,
Yeah, I love them. They're like my
and you
favorite
probably
time. a orchestra that I got introduced to when I was, I think, 8 years old.
So you wouldn't be bitching or complaining if you had to sit through 4 hours of them up close.
Maybe, maybe not.
No, I know the chair was just uncomfortable, and I wanted to get back to the motel room and probably at the time watch some stupid shit on TV. But that was, that's a whole other story. Um, so, um, wow. Okay. Yeah, they're great. I mean, I'm not trying to belittle it at all because they are wonderful. Believe me, even if somebody was not even into it slightly a little bit, an hour or two of them would just blow your absolute mind. And if it was something that interests you, I could see where you could be captivated by, like, hell, you could probably sit there for 12 hours and watch them. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. The story, just everything. It's the music they play, the way they articulate it, the acts that they do. Every single one of those things within itself is wonderful. And I could totally appreciate that. I mean, it wasn't Kevin Durant or LeBron James dribbling a basketball up and down the Rose Garden like I would have liked to have seen at the time, but cultural wise, I can sure appreciate it, and yeah, amazing. I'm tickled that you've heard of them before. I suppose they are in your realm. I suppose that you may not be the only one that's heard of them, right?
Right.
Well, obviously not. The damn thing was sold out, and we had to get tickets months in advance. But yeah, wow. So the way that they play, some of the intensity that they do, do you ever try to simulate any of their songs? I mean, have you ever tried to play any of their stuff before on your violin?
It's way too hard.
Really, even for you? I mean, I know that you've been into it for years and you're really intense about it. I mean, really, it's that complicated to play, huh?
Yes. And just like Lindsey Sterling's songs, I've listened to her songs over and over, but I'm not able to copy them through playing my violin.
So that do you think with these people that are so great at doing that, like with any other thing, do you think it's like a creator, a God-given ability that they can do that? Because obviously from your experience, the chords that you have to try to play right and the notes that have to try to hit. But do you think that something spiritual is moving through them when they're playing to that intensity?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and it's not something you can mimic. I know it'd be like trying to I don't know. It'd be like trying to match Jimi Hendrix on on an electric guitar, which he played a wooden guitar, I think, better than most could play an electric one. Now, I mean, you just can't. You can have the notes right in front of you, and you can be an expert, of course, like you probably are at reading a violin note. But to make it happen, to sound anywhere near like the original is really you got to be asking for some serious consciousness help to get it done. I can understand that. Um, You know, wow. So just to, kind of wrap up on that subject on the violin, where does it stand with you now? Are you just kind of, is it something that's taken a back seat? I know that you're busy with, well, you're obviously busy as hell with your ascension symptoms. That'd be enough to keep anybody going forever and busy. But also with the adminning you do in Pleiadians, and which for my group, the French Thinkers, I really appreciate all the work and, of course, that you've done for me. It's been a real pleasure to have you as an admin there. And would you say that the violin has taken a back seat, or are you just kind of, whatever happens will happen? Are you still, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, are you still in that mode where you want to try to get better at playing it, or are you just kind of like, forget it, or are you just kind of like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep at it and whatever happens, happens? Where do you see yourself with the violin right now?
Right now I'm teaching myself how to tune it, and my friend Kate Byrne, she has the ear for music, so she can literally copy each note from different songs, like approaching Nirvana's Death of a King. She's teaching me the higher positions. I have a couple of her books with me. Um, so I'm learning through those books too. Um,
Yeah, so wow. So the vibe between you guys work well together then?
yes.
Okay, that's good because when you put egos to the side, it's amazing what a duo can do. I mean, you can be playing it and she's got the ear for it and picks it up and can tell you the adjustments you need to make, I mean, it's one person alone can be so magnificent, but man, you get two minds working together and you can create magic, whether it's Lennon and McCartney, whether it's which both of the two of them of the Beatles were just absolutely mind-blowing all time on their own. Top 10 great artists of anything ever, period, alone. Their two minds together blows anything away that's ever existed. So, I mean, when you have a partner like that who's got your back and you guys are on that frequency wavelength, I mean, there's nothing the two of you couldn't tackle. So how often would you say that you and her have a chance to work together?
Um, Now that she's working, it's hard to like get together and actually like play together. So I would say maybe every 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, and that sucks kind of, but isn't that kind of how life works? You get you get into a groove, and then 3D situations in life push it to where, okay, she's working and you're doing your thing, and it's like, I know, it's kind of like, but then you got to realize, okay, whatever will be. And I think that the great thing about this awakening too is what's weird, and you may not even realize this yet, is that this awakening that you're having and everything, you may just wake up one day and start rattling off some of these songs on your violin. I mean, consciousness is really pouring in. Do you find that like in the last, I don't know, well, since I've known you, last 4 or 5, 6 months, that do you find that things are, do you find that you're just knowing things automatically or thinking things and you wonder how in the hell you did it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good, that's a good, that's about the best answer anybody can give without any, I'd be really, there's no real explanation to it because how in the hell could you describe it? It's a feeling, and I know that, and it really is amazing. And another thing too, besides your passion of the violin, I know we talked about this game thing before, in the pre-interview, but like we were talking about one time, my 11-year-old daughter, who's a Syrian incarnate, Skya, she is really into Minecraft, and she doesn't have her own account anymore, and doesn't, she's kind of doing her own thing, but she was, I mean, the creators of the game considered her a child prodigy at it, and I know we talked about that. Now, I know you love playing Minecraft, but games are a passion of yours. Why don't you describe a little bit about your game passion and maybe whatever game it is that really has your attention right now? What keeps your time occupied during this ascension, mind-boggling phase?
Well, there's a game series called Kingdom Hearts. It's about a 14-year-old boy named Sora. So he fights off the darkness called Heartless, but there's at least 10 games plus 2 remixes and 3 final mix games too. I'm not going to go into too much detail because
Right.
if if we keep going, I'll tell you what's going on through the series. But
You'll the whole spill. Like I could tell you who won the last 40 Super Bowls and NBA titles and all that. And yeah, but it's obviously a passion of yours. And how long have you been into this?
um, I'm 20 now, so let's see. I would be about 15 when I got introduced to it, I think. All thanks to my brother Ryan. He's the one that showed my grandmother, and my grandmother showed me, and that's when I got my game series started with Kingdom Hearts. The first game I played 20 times. I beat it 10 times. For the second one. Um, Third one, I never got a chance to beat it. For the DS versions, about 5 times each.
Oh, you played on, okay, so you played on the DS. I know my
Yeah.
daughter has one of those. They're getting kind of antiquated right now, but yeah, is that the system where you have the little pointer, you can get it in pink and blue? Is that the one you're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah, so you played it on that, which I'm sure you preferred to play it on a PC, correct, or no?
Um, PlayStation, they actually have now come out with it to where we'll be able to play it on the Wii system. It's supposed to be rumored, but they, for the final Xehanort Saga, the Kingdom Hearts 3 Keyblade War, as they said for the title, I think. That's what they're calling it. It's still in development though. Um,
Yeah, isn't it always?
um, where the Die Hard, they've got a Kingdom Hearts con out there somewhere. I would love to go to. Die Hard Kingdom Hearts fan.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, you'd be like yeah, I mean, you'd rather go there than Disneyland or Universal Studios. I can understand your excitement. I mean, something like that you're passionate about. I bet that you'd like, you might even consider giving a finger to go, huh, for a whole, and enjoy it.
I don't know.
No, well, that would mess up your violin playing, but you know what I mean. It'd be a pretty exciting, stoked out thing to get to do.
Yeah.
Or would it be mundane and boring and like, fuck it?
It would be awesome to
No, I'm
go.
I know, I'm just kidding. And be like, oh, hey, I'm cool, I'm cool. No, fuck it, I'm cool. Yeah, but yeah, I can only imagine how exciting it would be. It'd be like when I really gave a shit about 3D, it would have been like me going to the NBA Finals or a Super Bowl or a Democratic National Convention or let me think about it. I can't tell you anymore because I can't even remember, even though it's been a few years ago. I can't even remember how I was. I can remember how I was, but I can't get full of that feeling anymore of how I was about it. So it's really it's definitely an interesting paradox for sure. So and so you have what, like, I'm an only child. I know the co-host of my other show, Min Chi, is an only child, and the couple other people that I know are. How many siblings do you have, just out of curiosity, without getting too personal?
I have two siblings, a brother and a sister.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, and I have 2 nephews and a niece.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Since I don't have any siblings, I don't have a nephew or a niece. But I've got I've got cousins. So are you the youngest of your siblings?
Yes, 7 years apart.
Okay, great. And how many years apart are your brother and sister?
They're the same age. They were born in '88, where I was born in '94.
Oh, okay. So, okay, great. Okay, so cool. So 6 years difference. So you've pretty much lived kind of like full time without them for a lot of years. So you were an only child basically in your mid to late teenage years, no?
My brother went, I think I was like 16. I'm not sure. And
Yeah,
yeah, basically.
basically, yeah. Yeah, I hear you there. I was an only child myself, and that's how it goes, kind of. It's really easy to, and I was talking with Min about this the other night on Pleiadian late night, and it's real because she's an only child. It's really easy to manipulate your parents when you're an only child, especially when they're divorced, and then both of them work nights and everything like that. So on one hand, it's like it was it was so wonderful growing up like that, but excuse me, I coughed on air. I shouldn't do that, but at the same time, what really would have helped me a lot, and I would have hated it then. So it made, I thought to myself always, okay, well, if I had more, they gave me all the love and attention I needed when they and financially and all. But at the same time, I felt like as I started getting older and I got into my 15-year or so corporate career I was in, I felt like, God, I felt like I wish they would have given me more discipline. But at the same time, the way I was, everything happens for a reason. At the same time, I probably would have been terrible if I had more discipline. Growing up, I had that freedom to do what I needed, the logic not to quite cross that line, even though, my friends were gangsters and into all that shit. But I still had the freedom to do what I needed to do and express myself. But yeah, it's really weird being a starseed in a way. We're kind of the first of the era of, I don't know, we don't like doing mundane things. I know we were talking about that. Remember we were joking the other night about like folding laundry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know what I think it is? I don't mind picking up and cleaning up the house, but I think it is with laundry is that I don't like it because I'm stuck in one spot. Does that kind of bug you to be sitting there if you're folding laundry, right? Does that kind of bug you to just be stuck in one spot folding laundry instead of being able to do like 100 half-assed projects at once, where you can go from here to here, there to there, and maybe some get done, maybe some don't?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that standing there. Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather have a couple other tasks told me to go, okay, if you said to me, okay, well, I'll fold the laundry, but you go clean the sink, or you go unload the dishwasher, or you go and also take out the garbage. I'd rather do those little things, right? And then would you rather do all those little, have to do a bunch of those things versus standing there folding a bunch of laundry?
Basically.
I would too, and it's a mental block, I think. It's weird. I think it's because we're in our minds or in how depending on how ascended or advanced we are, our minds are is even a basic starting out starseed awakening. We're in 5D mentality, clear up to even semi-eighth mentality, and we're trying to operate into a lower fourth, higher 3D world, and yeah, it's definitely crazy. It's definitely crazy, and I think that's why, like with you younger indigos, with the video games, it's one thing. I've got a lot of Blu-ray friends that were born in the early and mid 70s like me that like video games, but at the same time, it's, I don't know, it's not something we were too much into that much because there wasn't a lot of it. The thought, when I was in high school, the thought of being able to play against somebody, well, unless they were in your house playing on the TV, I mean, the thought of being able to play against somebody was, it's just unconceivable. Now you could be sitting there, right, and you could be playing. I mean, in the game you play that you like, I mean, where are some of the places that people are from in that you played, if you can remember? Like, I mean, you play online, I would assume, right?
Um. Uh. Mainly on Facebook for games. Being signed in
Right,
to.
but so you could be playing, but you could be playing with people that are from anywhere in the fucking planet, right?
Right.
And I mean, some of these people are, I mean, if you've even bothered to pay attention, some of these people are from like, all over, huh? Like Europe, Italy, Sweden, Norway, France, Denmark, England, Australia, the African jungle, big city street. I mean, they could be from anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that bridges the gap between us. It really does. So, yeah, I know that it's just crazy. I mean, so how often do you play that nowadays? We talked about the violin a little bit. How often do you play?
Um.
How often do you play, get involved with that?
I don't really play too much anymore because since last year, the events that happened last year, we lost a couple things. Oopsie, I shouldn't have said that. Oh well. Oh well. Since the
We all
events,
have, oh well, fuck it.
um,
So, but that aside too, but yeah, but do you find that um
I think
sorry, I cut out there for a minute, but Do you find that that because of the ascension, do you find that if you were playing, does it take your mind like the hard rock music? Does this take your mind off your ear ringing and stuff like that too? If you were playing,
Yes.
exactly. If it's something you're interested in, I can see where it does that. But if you're alone, and you know, maybe that's the whole point of the whole thing is having those moments where we're alone to deal with that, and it's almost like, you know, I went through a divorce because of my awakening, and I just couldn't help it. I mean, you know, it's like it had to happen like that, and I didn't want it to, but it did. And you know, I went through those months where, you know, where now that I know better, I could advise somebody who's going through it now. It's like, you know, like I've tried to send you meditation tapes, and some have worked, some haven't. But the reason I did that was because that, you know, we always think that when we went through something, of course, we know better than somebody that we care about, that we're trying to help out, who's going through it now. We always think, okay, we know better. Well, this is what we did when we went through it, or we should have did, we didn't do. The meditation, I wish that during that 6 months I had that real bad phase of tripping out every night and wigging out at the sounds, and you know, having the, you know, knowing it was the Pleiadians, but wishing they would let up a little bit on the loudness, and wondering, okay, well, what the hell else is out there? What do I got to be protective of? I've got 3 kids in the house. I better, you know, okay, well, they're not going to punk me out. I got this. You know, I wish that I would have relaxed a little bit, mellowed out, and meditated a little bit more. And you know, I laugh. In some of my contacts, I've laughed about them with it now. That, you know, that they were like, oh, you know, with no judgment. They were like, yeah, you were bugging out pretty bad about it. And yeah, it does. When you can get into something that you like doing, when you're having these ascension symptoms, it's good. But there's also that block, and then there's also those days where you just hurt, and like, do you feel your body like aching? I know that you had those bad headaches we were talking about forever. Are you still having those headaches?
Yes.
Have they let up any, hon, or are they still as intense?
They've let up some to where the only times that it gets worse is when I get really tired and where I need sleep.
You're right, and I bet even in that moment, in those moments when that's starting to happen, are you still like, is part of your brain going, I don't want to sleep, I don't want to sleep?
Exactly.
And you've got that internal struggle going on, like, fuck, and then you start looking for something to occupy your mind, huh? Like, God, I want
Exactly.
something to make me happy.
Just like
Yeah, I
read,
know. Yeah,
just like
I
reading
know.
books.
It's like, yeah, the book. No, reading the book. You mean reading a book like it helps you, or it throws your concentration off, or what?
It helps me. It helps me concentrate because I can when I read different books like Catching Fire or Blood Promise from Vampire Academy, um uh I can literally hear, I literally can merge with the characters, hear their thoughts, hear everything that's going on.
Wow. See, that's intense. I wish I could do that. I wish I could. I've learned to read books the last few years. I mean, I could always read, but to the point where I could enjoy it. I mean, I'm more used to hearing audio, and that's my thing. But I bet you could. It's like you were telling me about so quick you were able to pick up on people's voices when you're talking to them, like in Facebook, chatting with them. And I can do that with about maybe 10 people. It's like I know their voices, and pretty much all of them I've been right on with. The only ones that I haven't been right on with were a couple people that I didn't realize were from another country. But at the same time, I know that, my co-host of the show, Cosmic Awakenings, Michelle Walling, I was envisioning what her voice sounded like, and sure as hell, it's exactly what I thought it would sound like. And you really do pick that up, and I'm glad that you told me that the other night, because see, I thought I was going crazy. I told a couple people that. I think I told Jane and another person that I was, look, when we're chatting, I can like pick up on your voice, and I can, like, it's like And I was right about her voice and her accent, by the way, too, because I finally got a chance to Google hang out with her and talk. But yeah, it's definitely intense, and I knew that once you said that, I knew that it wasn't just me going. I knew that either that or you and I both were going crazy from one coast to another. Which, hell, I think you're closer to Jane distance-wise than I am to you. You know, we live in the same country. You know, because it's so well. You know how big the United States is.
Yeah.
No, it's a small little island hut country. No, I'm just kidding. For those out there that have never been there, it's pretty big. You can't drive across it in one night, or can you? You think?
I don't know.
Would
We
you want to
have
bet? Do you think you could?
car, a super speed car to do that.
Yes, yes. Do you think in a normal, average, everyday American home car, do you think you could drive from where you're at out to the West Coast in a night?
I would say yes if you speed, and no if you're taking the right.
Fuck. You'd have to be driving at a lot of speed, girl. That'd take some. That'd take the perfect highway and well, NASCAR type speed to go that fast. But so, you know, as far as in the groups on Facebook, has it helped you at all to know that there's at least other people out there somewhere out there, as they would say in the song? Is it helped you to know that there's some people that have gone through the same things you're going through that can relate? Or would you rather have never known anybody like that and felt all alone on an island?
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Um, it's actually helped because the way, because I would have never known about this
Would you wonder?
without any.
Yeah, you would have wondered. Would you have wondered? Would you wonder? Do you think it forever? Like, would you have wondered eternally what the fuck was wrong or what was going on and not quite figured it out? So yeah, it's helped. I take it.
Definitely.
I'm grateful for it too. And then, you know, it makes me realize. I realize why we're all spread out like we are. And you know, my co-host of Cosmic Awakenings, Michelle Walling, brought up a great point in our show. She said, "Well, she said if you take a look at all the people that you've directly contacted with, right, like around the world, that, like, say even you, Ciara, that you've talked with, you know, that are of like mind or similar, and you took a world map of the planet and pinpointed right where those people lived, including you in West Virginia, including, you know, maybe a friend you have over in Europe or whatever." She says if you know, draw a line with all those friends, it matches up like on a grid system. It almost like matches an equal grid. And you know, I thought that was a good point, and I think that even if that's not the case on a physical map, that it would match up as an exact grid. I think mentally and cosmically it matches up. And you know, I just know that it's great to meet these people. And I think one day, like, well, even with your violin playing, and you know, you've got a lot of other great musicians out there that are star seeds. A guy named Paul Michelson that's good, and this guy Paul Thurman I just met who is kind of heading up the group Pacific Northwest Pleiadians, and of course Leah Shapiro, Alien Tribe of the Pleiadians group. The music, it would be really good to someday have like a Pleiadian Woodstock. It'd be nice to meet everybody. Wouldn't you just like to meet a big group of huge people? And I know you're not the biggest advocate of wanting to speak in public, but wouldn't it be nice to meet a ton of people in one setting that were of like mind, like you, where you could
Yes.
just chill
Yeah.
and not have to be like, okay, ha ha ha, and be phony and be all that, or not be phony, but feel like, oh God, apprehensive, and feel guilty that you feel apprehensive. You know, it really gets mundane and hard to do.
It would be really cool to like find one place in one state that's close to home or like 2 hours away or something like that, and have others just come in and meet up.
Yeah, I agree. Or even if it was somewhere far away, but we all had like the means to get there. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you had the ability, you know, financially or whatever, to be able to do that, it would be cool. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Feasibly, that's why I've always thought like it'd be about a 5 to 10 year. I'm thinking summer of 19 or summer of 2024 for something like that where travel's a little bit more feasible, and maybe even by that time we have a little more interdimensional travel. That would be cool, you know. And Cryon talks about that, and I kind of agree with him that that's the next big technology. But yeah, it would be really nice for everybody to meet in a central location. Say even if it was every 5 years, like a Woodstock, it could be done 1 year in the Pacific Northwest, 1 year in Scandinavia, Australia. You could go back east on the East Coast to do it. Sometime, you know, Midwest, you could go South America, you know, wherever. You know, Africa, it wouldn't really matter. Moscow, although I'd be a little apprehensive about going to Moscow, but maybe that's just my paranoid growing up in America delusions. Um, but yeah, I agree. It would definitely be a good thing, and I think that just us thinking about it and talking about it will manifest something like that to happen. And you know, I think good things are on the horizon. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be hard days ahead, but I think that we'll definitely see it through, and whatever's meant to happen will happen. And you know, I can't believe I'm saying that because usually I'm so logical and practical, but yeah, I really feel it now. I'm learning to go with my life more with feel than my analytical brain. So, not that you could understand that. I mean, you started going through this at 19. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not like you took till 35 to realize a lot of this, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. So anyway, so what's it like in West Virginia? Do you like living there? Do you like West Virginia? My grandmother's from West Virginia, by the way.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, it's real cool.
um,
I mean, sorry, Grandma. It's really cool. It's
uh,
gosh.
I don't know about West Virginia. I would like to go live in France for like a year and come back and like travel somewhere else.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Not leave permanently, but you know, it'd be nice to go get a little. And I never thought that till my awakening too. I always thought, okay, well, I love Canada. I love the United States. Okay, well, I'm not going to leave North America. I didn't. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't love our politics. Our politics and the way we do shit is completely backward bullshit over here. I mean, we totally have the wrong idea. It's like I tell people that live in the Netherlands or Scandinavia, you guys got it going on, or Australia. I mean, we really have no fucking clue over here how to run shit at all. And don't believe what you hear. But at the same time, I just had this phobia because I don't travel well. You know, I've flown a couple handful of my times in my life for business and a couple personal reasons, and I don't really dig it too much. So I always thought, okay, well, it would take a lot, you know, in my greedy mind back then, it would take, okay, well, for enough of a perspective, yeah, okay, I would fly over there, but shit, it better be first class, and I ain't fucking going unless it's an emergency. But now, you know, I'm starting to think of places like India and Italy and going to the UK, to the countryside, and you know, going to all these places. I'd like to go see Ireland, Scotland, Australia, you know. And the thought of it is becoming exciting, and maybe that's because travel is about to become a little bit more easier. We'll see, but yeah, I'd like to do that too, and then come back here. You know, home is home, and you know it's always where you want to go back to. But it'd be nice to go somewhere and get a little bit refined, and then go from there.
Yeah.
No, maybe. Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it could be the case, but we'll see how it all goes down. I think it's going to get a lot easier to travel as the years go on. I just have this feeling that Cryan was right. The next big invention will be some kind of an interdimensional travel, and we can go anywhere we want in no time at all. And when our consciousness is ready for it, it will blow the world away. So we'll see how it goes. And I mean, you know, I like not only do you live, like you take somebody like in Norway, like Jane, or somebody that lives in the UK or whatever, especially the UK, you probably live distance-wise closer to the UK, right, than I've ever been in my life to where you live, because I've never been further east than A little past Albuquerque, New Mexico, maybe right by the Texas border. I've never been any further east than that, and that was only once in my life. And other than that, you know, I think Las Vegas was the furthest east I've been, maybe. And you know, it's a vast country, and people don't realize that. But what are some of the things that, you know, as far as the Pleiadians group goes? I know that you told me one time that, you know, and I have a lot of ships that hang out by my house and that send the orbs down that I contact and things like that. But I know a friend of yours told you that you had a Pleiadian ship close to your house, and you know, when you told me that, it's like, yeah, I already probably figured that out. Um, do you have you had a chance to really gaze at the stars and see the twinging colored ones yet, or what?
Once in a while, when I'm outside at night, I'll see Orion's constellation, and then there's this one star that actually really goes from left to right and up to down that has yet to
Yeah,
appear.
yeah, the Orion Belt, the three stars in a row. Michelle and I were talking about that too, and that's been hanging out by my house. And when it started doing that a lot, it was a time Michelle was getting some information consciously from them, and you know, yeah, I have that apprehension in my mind because of the Lyran Orion Wars and because of my Pleiadian and Lyran heritage. You know, I'm like, okay, well, you know, what the fuck do you want, you know, and this and that. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, I feel like a love from them. I feel like, you know, I feel like it's time to bury the hatchet. And, you know, when you see them there, what are your feelings when you see the Orion? What do you think?
Yeah, it's really cool. At first, I couldn't find it until watching a show called Ancient Aliens. They talked about it on the
Yeah.
three, an episode called The Power of Three, saying if it was a clone or something. There's also another episode that actually mentioned Pleiades, the seven stars, Pleiades. I think that's what they said.
Well, you told me about that, yeah, the other night, and it's like, I haven't watched Ancient Aliens in a while, and it's not that I don't love the show. I love Giorgio. He's a great host, and I love Eric Von Doniken, but most of that shit, you know, it's like I don't watch TV anymore, but I already know all of what they're saying innately, and if I've never heard that before, it's like innately when I hear it, I know it. So, but yeah, you mentioned that, and I'd never heard them talk about it's weird, I'd never have heard them talk about the Pleiadians on there, or the Pleiades. And so you heard them mention it. That's exciting that you did. I really wish that they would do a show on the Pleiadians, and maybe they're just, you know, my paranoid mind wants to think, okay, well, they're not doing it for corporate reasons and this and that, but I think maybe they're just waiting for the right time to break it out and to really do one, because that's how the Pleiadians work, kind of. They're very subtle, and so you know, their information's everywhere, but not unless you're ready to find it or look for it.
I just recently started watching that show 3 nights ago. Christina Womack, one of the shout outs that I gave out,
Hey,
um,
Christina.
she told me to about it, and I got interested into it. So I was like, I'll check it out. And I asked her what channel or what network. She said the History 2 channel. So
Yeah.
so it went to that.
Yeah, I know. I remember a few months ago, I originally told you about him, and you're like, "Oh fuck, I've never even watched it." And I thought nothing of it. Okay,
I
so
remember
see, it was meant to be. I'm glad that she told you about it. That's good. And it's really good information for people out there. I would never dissuade anybody from watching that show. If people had any doubt or any questions or were really into trying to learn and dissect this stuff, I would really advocate watching that one show. Not that you have to buy into everything it says, but just for the information and take what you want from it. But yeah, it's good information. It's got a good, passionate host, and I know the creator of it, Eric Von Doniken, is we all owe him a lot of things. So yeah, it's definitely it's a good idea. And my son's seventh grade teacher was showing some of the episodes in history class a year ago, and you know what? God love him for doing it. That stuff should be shown. I'd rather see the whole series of Ancient Aliens shown in American school systems than any textbook or any. I mean, really. I mean, I don't care. Throw out every textbook. Who gives a shit about World War II, the Civil War, Revolutionary War? We know all that bullshit already, and these kids already know it coming in. This is the real. No, really, it's the real story. Who gives a shit? The North won the fake Civil War. The American colonists won the fake Revolutionary War. World War II. Really, who gives a fuck? I mean, if you give God love you if you give a fuck, but please, we're beyond that, people. The time is now, and Ancient Aliens is what should be shown at the basic level. To anybody even that doesn't know anything jack squat about history, or is in school just learning as a little kid about history, that's what should be shown, period. Not even a question. Anybody who doesn't agree with me, fuck them, they're stupid. I mean, really. I mean, I don't mean it like that, but they, I much love them, but I wouldn't even waste my time to understand, to even acknowledge any kind of reply to that. That was not exactly what I say about that subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you would. Huh.
Out, by the way.
You what?
I do have one more shout out, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can, as long as you go up to the rooftop of your house and shout. Shout, let it all out. These are the things you can do without. Come on, we're talking to you. No.
You're too funny.
Yeah, I know, usually. But give your shout out. They're waiting. Whoever they are, they're waiting to hear from you.
I would like to give a shout out to Jenny Clark, one of my friends I recently became friends with a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yes, of course. She's in the groups. Yes, Jenny is really cool. Hi, Jenny. How are you? Well, we didn't get a response. No. Yes, Jenny. Jenny, is her phone number 8675309? Never mind, before your time. It was an old song.
Oh my God.
Much love, Jenny. Thank you. Yes, Jenny, who can I turn to? Okay. So, anyway, well, that's good. We give a shout out to everybody. How about a shout out to the Fringe Nation and the Pleiadians? Much love to the Fringe Nation. Much love to the Pleiadians. We love you. Don't we? Ciara, don't we love them? Good. It sounded like you were a little distracted, huh? Okay, well, I think that's good information, and I think we can go ahead and wrap the show up now, and just tell everybody out there, like we just did, much love and peace and happiness and joy and blessings and namaste for real. We're not just uttering it like a parrot on loop. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Namaste, the most beautiful word ever. So, Ciara, why don't you take this last minute or so and just pour your heart out there, and why don't you tell everybody out there in the groups just how much you love them, and just come on, get all emotional with us. Well, that's good too. Laughing is good.
To Pleiadians in the French speakers groups, this whole experience has been awesome. That's all I can say. That's what I can say. It's been awesome being in these groups and seeing how far they.
No, I agree. It really has. I mean, there's not much more you could say. I mean, you could go on and on with cliches, but there's nothing on earth that could possibly describe it. Anything more would be belittling to it, really, to even go into. So, yeah, much love to the Fringe Nation. Much love to the Pleiadians. Much love to, let's give some shout outs. Much love to all all our fellow administrators in Pleiadians. Much love to Kathleen Boylan, Jane Hermstead, Jason Wilson, Leah Shapiro, of course, the great captain of the mothership, Ciara, of course, you, and the Fringe Nation. Much love to everybody. Much love to also send a shout out to Marianne Rada. Much love to you. Much love to all the group members out there. We could go on and on and on, but you know, we would be here all night, and they already know how we feel about them anyway. So it's
Big
all
time
good. And
love.
you say what?
Big time love to everyone.
Time love to everyone. You're tuned into Big Time Love with your host Larry Love, actually Pretty Boy Lorenzo Love. Yes, much love with the C there, Ciara Morris saying much love to everybody. Okay, well, we're getting kind of goofy here and off track. God forbid we ever do that. We should stay in line, and you know, how can we have our meat without eating our pudding? Or how can we have our pudding without eating our meat? Anyway, yes, I know. Yeah, usually, you know, but I never do anything wrong. Every time I've gotten the blame, I was framed in my life. Anyway, so yes. Anyway, so Ciara, thank you for coming on.
No problem. I can do this anytime if possible. Just say the word.
If possible. Just say the word. Yes, say the word, and I'll summon the band with my hand. Okay, that's good to know. And you know, it's funny because I sounded phony actually saying that to you. Well, thank you, Ciara, but I really meant it. It's just 3D words are like blah blah blah. So much love to you, and hopefully now everybody knows your life story. Next time we have you on, you know, which maybe we'll have you on again with Min and I when we do our next Pleiadian late night show, and I know that Jason Wilson, and myself are going to do a production, and it should be quite the production, and we'll go from there. All right, much love, sweetie. You have a good night, and actually, it's what time? So it's 6:33 right now in West Virginia, right? 6:33 a.m.
Almost to that point, yes.
Well, it's 3:33 a.m. on the West Coast, but you know, my question is, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? And if so, I can't imagine why. Okay. You know, we don't have time enough to die. But anyway, we'll go from there, and much love to you, and peace, and I'll let you end the show with a quick goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.